Welcome back to the Stormcast, Season 2, everyone. My name is Ellie Hochber. I'm here with my co-host, Oren Glickman. Oren, how you doing today?
Erev Rosh Hashanah. I guess that can only mean one thing for Noah Kessler, recording a Stormcast episode.
Exactly. So, we are here during the preseason doing a way too early podcast, as Oren mentioned, just to talk a little bit about the expectations for this upcoming winter sports season. So I think there's no better place to start it off talking about the teams that we probably know more about than the teams that we don't. So starting off with a team that last year won the Sarachek national title, but is obviously missing a lot of key pieces from last year, is the varsity basketball team. The varsity basketball team obviously has players who have been in the school for a while. And Oren, I want to hear how you think how this team will look, especially compared to last year and compared to 2 years ago when this team was on junior varsity.
Yeah, so this team 2 years ago did not have a great year. They finished 5-5 JV, and they won a first round playoff game at home against Ramaz and lost to DRS in the quarterfinals. Having said that, though, JV doesn't always what your outcome is in JV doesn't always define what your outcome is in varsity. It's a totally different game. Guys are getting bigger, stronger. I expect Akiva Borgen to be one of the best players in the league. It'll be contingent. Be contingent on how much support he can get from those around him. I think what's very interesting to me is that you have two seniors who are on the team this year, who tried out and successfully made the team and are transfers. So Sammy Mole, who's on the team this year, he transferred sophomore year and he came after JV tryouts. So that'll be very interesting to see. And other transfer, Yehuda Taub was on JEC JV, and while he didn't make last year's squad, he's on the team this year. So I'll be very curious to see how those two transfers pan out, playing alongside the likes of Akiva Borgen, Yonatan Faber, and the junior talent of Zachy Lowe and Sammy Haberman.
So you alluded to the support that Borgen will be getting from this team, especially from Yonatan Faber. Okay, I guess we're continuing on like nothing ever happened. As you alluded to a minute ago, right? We're discussing the support Akiva Borgen's going to get. Faber is one of the only pieces returning from last year.
Who has real varsity experience? Yeah,
with real varsity.
Well, Shlomo Wenger towards the end played a.
So that just leads into my next question, as you partially related to who really didn't make an impact last year in varsity. Can you see making an impact in varsity this year? Whether that be Shlomo Wenger in a bigger role or juniors such as Zachy Lowe and Sammy Haberman.
Yeah, I think Naftali Hochstein will start this year. I think there are a lot of expectations being built around Yos Khan. Yeah, in terms of the guys who are really, it's really just two, I would say 2.5 guys who are coming back from real varsity game experience. Faber is no question the best defender on that team. He can lock down. We saw what he did with Ricky Haddad and Flatbush in the playoff game. Elevate his game. He can't just be a spread the floor type shooter. He's going to have to do more. I think everybody's going in thinking Borgen will be good for 13, 14 points. Beyond that, I lumped in Zachy Lowe, Sammy Haberman. We'll see how quick their game translates to the varsity level. I'd also be curious to see Rafi Karasik, because Rafi Karasik has looked very good in the first few practices, in terms of getting rebounds, being a knockdown shooter. So we shall see. And someone who's going to get an experience this year, too, in my opinion, will be. I'm trying to think. Did we name all the seniors?
I think we went through most of them. And I think Yos is someone who people have been pointing out as much improved from the past 2 years, especially.
Right. I think people, to quote Coach Oz, I think people are hoping that that the beast will be unleashed with Jack Nordlich, because I think everyone can agree that Jack Nordlich was one of our bigger players in terms of size, and obviously that void is missing now with the graduation of Eyal Kinderler. So listen, I think to this team's advantage, nobody's giving them any credit. They're being underestimated by everyone, so they're playing with house money. So I think they'll be very good in the sense that they'll be a lot.
Okay, so you cut out at the end there. But I think we got what you were saying, in the sense that this team is playing house money.
But I think this team will be underestimated by a lot of their opponents, and they'll be very able to take that to their advantage.
So yeah, so I mean that kind of leads into the Shiva League Pass rankings, who ranked them at number 9. And I hear from players on the team, or maybe even number 10 on the team, that coming in with lower expectations arguably is better. From one, playing with house money, and two, is that more exciting games, more fans coming to games, less ups like less. If you lose to a team, it's not the end of the world because you weren't supposed to be the undefeated champions. Um, and I think this team's looking to play with it to its advantage, which is something we'll discuss with varsity hockey as well. Staying on the basketball side of thing, I think that just makes more sense. A team that a lot of players are returning from, despite the fact that we have a lot of freshmen on the team, JV basketball. All right, what can you tell us about JV basketball? Obviously, returning stars, Ezra Adams, Tani Stein, and Shai Bakel. But what else can you tell us about this team? Also, 20 guys on the team.
I think the expectations are the opposite of going to championship. You have real problems. This team, everyone's been excited about this team since last year. So anything less than a championship would be completely disappointing. They knew they had the freshman talent coming in last year, and now it's time for the sophomore talent, who were the last year's freshman talent, to deliver with a JV championship, win TABC's third JV championship in history. You have some freshmen who are coming in, Moshe Sharbat from Kushner, Ami Goldsmith, who won a middle school championship with Yavne. But this is a sophomore-heavy team in terms of the talent, and when it comes to the sophomores on this team in terms of winning a championship with Adam Stein, Bikel, Nice, one of those big Zakowski, Laserson, or Mati Stein will have to deliver in terms of presence to contain the difficult Munoz of Frisch. The expectations cannot be more different when it comes to the JV and the varsity. Varsity have nothing to lose. JV have to win a championship.
So yeah, I mean Ezra Adams and Tani Stein were probably two of the better players on last year's JV team playing, and then we also had very good contributions from Nice and Bakel. And I'm looking forward to see. I think we're all looking forward to see contributions from Barron, Mati Stein.
Yeah, Eitan Barron too, for sure. Yeah.
Barron
could play. Barron could play big.
So one of those guys is going to have to step up, and we'll see who it is. As you mentioned, good freshman, but the sophomore talent on this team is something else. Probably some of the best sophomore talent in the league, and so it's unlikely that a lot of freshmen get a lot of play, especially early in the season, like when figuring things out. So I think that's a fair assessment of JV Ball. Or anyone want to add anything about JV Ball?
No, I think I think last year the expectations were different because you knew you were going to be carried by freshmen, and now they have a year under their belt, so now they have the real experience, to go in there and bring it home.
Yeah. So moving on to the other varsity team, varsity hockey, very similar expectations to the varsity basketball team. A disappointing season 2 years ago, and is being underrated by many, I think. If already you want to give us a little bit of a rundown on this team, expectations, who we could see playing key minutes.
We're talking about varsity hockey?
Yeah.
I think it's very similar to varsity basketball. They have nothing to lose. Everyone will say, oh, oh, this is the team that didn't make the playoffs 2 years ago. But everyone has to realize that there's less room for error in JV hockey compared to varsity hockey because there are not as many teams. I think first and foremost, the number one factor that people will point to is not the less room for error. They'll point to the fact that a Dean Cattler is now on the team, and a Dean Cattler was not on the team 2 years ago. 2 years ago, a Dean Cattler was winning a JV hockey championship with SAR. Just having him on the team alone changes the entire complexion of the roster. And I think everyone will agree that it's SAR's league to lose this year. Jack Linhart is probably the best player in the league. But if Cattler's clicking and Sal Sandell or Nathaniel Kalb have a stonewall performance in net game in, game out. I don't know who's going to be the starter yet, so I'm lumping in both of them. Then who knows? Who knows? This team can make some surprises.
Yeah, I mean,
last year they were the favorites, and they had, to quote Coach Mo Fuchs, one of the worst losses in program history against Hank. As the favorite. So, maybe a little role reversal will help this team now for this upcoming season. Jaden LaFell is the only one coming in with real varsity game time experience.
Again, similar to varsity basketball in the sense that not a lot of varsity experience for this entire team. And a lot of incoming sophomores who played last year, a lot of other people who we expect to make a difference. Jeff Fields, Danielle Kurtz, David Ratchersdorfer, obviously Jake Rubenstein, Aaron Brothman, and you alluded to it. There's two good goalies on this team. Nathaniel Kalb, who started 2 years ago, and 2 years ago, Saul Sandell was on varsity as a freshman. And now, I'm not entirely sure, or maybe you could have a little bit of insight. Who do you think, maybe it's up in the air still, but who's starting for that team? Or just going to be a game-by-game basis?
Ask me that question again. You broke up.
Saul or Kalb? Meaning, do we have an answer yet, or on who's going to be starting? Or
no? I guess that means I cut out during. If Kalb or Sandell can have that hot performance game in, game out, nothing can stop this team. And I just said I have no intel or indication of where the coaching staff is leaning towards.
Oh, okay.
Right. This is their first year as teammates.
Oh, yeah. It's, as I mentioned a minute ago. Anyone else you could see making an impact on this team that maybe didn't make an impact last year, per se, because of the incredible seniors on last year's team or rising sophomores? Rising juniors.
Jaden's team. It's Jaden LaFell's team because he's the only senior coming in with varsity game experience. Cattler, I think, is still a top player in the league as a junior. I don't know. I guess I'd also I point to Shlomo Wenger. I think Shlomo Wenger will have a much bigger role with this hockey team compared to last year. Like I said, they really it's a role reversal. All the pressure was on them to win last year, and now there's no pressure on them to win this year. So let's see if they can use that to their advantage the same way with varsity basketball.
Yeah, and shout out Ori Schloss for making the team. We're all very excited for you. And then moving on to the last of the four.
He's still a softball player.
The last of those four teams is JV hockey.
I am never doing a Stormcast episode in the car, by the way.
Yes, you are cutting out a lot, so this is a fun experience. What are your thoughts on JV hockey? Obviously, we have some returning sophomores. Obviously, a lot of them, but who played last year: Jack Solomon, Noah Schwabel, Alan Rosner,
David Allen.
David Allen, obviously.
David Allen.
Yeah, David Allen. So who else do you see making?
Listen, like I said, there are not as many teams on JV. From everything I've heard, it's either TABC or Frisch's league to lose. So I think we're going in as co-favorites with Frisch. There's a good core coming back. We'll see if they can build on the momentum of last year where they had that late run to get all the way to the championship game. In terms of goalie, it's looking like it'll be a battle between Max Moskoff and Ellie Mason, who was on varsity last year and is now moving down to JV. I really I don't know who's the favorite between TABC and Frisch in regards to JV hockey. I don't think I'll have an answer to that until the teams actually play each other for the first time in the regular season.
So just overall, very, very.
Thank you, Alan Rosner.
So overall, very similar varsity expectations for the two varsity teams. Low expectations, playing with house money, probably underrated, not a lot of varsity experience, and very similar expectations for the JV teams. Arguably championship favorites, a lot of turning experience, and this last question about JV hockey. Oren, do you see any freshmen making an impact on this team?
I've heard things about the Gramazian brothers. I've heard a lot of good things about Elon Cattler, Dean's younger brother. I think he has a possibility of getting a lot of minutes. I think the difference between JV basketball and JV hockey, I can see some real contributions from freshmen on JV hockey, where with JV basketball, I don't think I see it as much. But having said that, I think both JV basketball and JV hockey both come in with high expectations. But I will say the one main difference I would point out, I think JV basketball is a clear-cut favorite to win the league. I'm not sure if JV hockey is a clear-cut. They're a favorite, but I'm not sure they're a clear-cut favorite to win the league because I heard Frisch is also very strong.
You don't think about no MDY for JV ball?
What was that?
You don't think MDY is up there with TABC? I hear that they put together.
I've heard about MDY, but I got to see it to believe it first. I've only heard things.
I hear.
It's different, Hop. It's different, Hop, because MDY is not in our community. We don't really see them a lot. Frisch is in our community, so we know of them a lot better, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And then obviously last, but most certainly not least.
OG.
You can't forget about wrestling. No.
OG, can we get a goal prediction on Alan this year? Alan Rosner. How many goals this year?
Give me 8 goals for Alan Rosner this season.
Wow, it's almost a goal a game. Alan Rosner. And shout out assistant coach Giver, first season being assistant coach, and shout out assistant varsity coach Stepner for ball. New coaches all around. So very, very exciting. And obviously last, and most certainly not least, we have wrestling, which Oren can tell you all about because I'm not going to pretend like I know anything.
Listen, to their credit, they did a really good job with recruiting guys. I think they have a bigger squad. I mean, we'll see how it pans out, because wrestling's a very hard sport to stay committed to. But I think they have like a squad of 18 at the moment. And
that's what you need to have in order to win Wittenberg.
Yeah, Daniel Delman has a real opportunity to be a 3-time Wittenberg champion. And I think they're going all in this year because after the Delman class graduates, I think there's a real uncertainty with how dominant wrestling could be or how good wrestling can be after the Daniel Delman grade graduates.
Yeah, that's this year's senior year. So let's see, maybe wrestling in the JVs with very high expectations, and maybe not so much for the varsities. But we're looking forward to it. Should be a lot of good games. Maybe we'll do an episode post Sukkot once schedules come out. Discussing more of the key games on every schedule and. Kessler will insist on an episode before Yom Kippur. Any episode preceding a Chag, Kessler will insist on an episode. If it's an inconvenience at all to us, it will happen. Exactly. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm not sure when.
Whoa! You forgot baseball, Hochberg.
It's a spring sport. We said explicitly that we're doing winter.
We don't have a roster.
We said explicitly we're just doing winter sports. So
On a more serious note, though, I do want to wish the two of you a Kasiva Chasima Tova. Looking forward to a great year ahead with the both of you. Thank you for everything that you do. And I think we would all be remiss if we did not give a special recognition to Rabbi Yosef Adler, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, who's TABC athletics wouldn't be where it is today without the leadership of Rabbi Adler.
I mean, yeah, forget TBC athletics. TBC as a whole would not be where it is without Rabbi Adler. So
right, but this is an athletics podcast, so that's why I plugged in. That's why I plugged in athletics.
Yeah, I understand. This podcast would not exist. So we're all indebted and to Rabbi Adler for everything he did to this community, and especially for TBC. Wishing you guys a Chasima Tova.
Wait, before we leave, I have to give a shout out